Welcome to the Vet S.O.S. Veteran Educational Resource Spotlight. Remember, don't drown the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S. Lifeline. The Vet S.O.S. podcast is brought to you by the Who You Know Network and proud members of the Parade Deck community. As always, I'm here with Dr. Hira. Dr. Hira, how you doing today?
Doing great. I always look forward to these conversations and learning something new.
This one I'm excited about. My brother went here, over 20 years ago. So this is a school I knew about that I'd never heard of, coming out of high school and stuff like that. So it's exciting to be able to sit down and learn more about what they're doing to help our community.
Yeah.
So today we're sitting down with Aaron Hall, who is the U.S. Air Force veteran who served in the Iraq War, holds degrees from the Community College of the Air Force, Xavier University, and Louisiana State University. Passionate about supporting student veterans, he has served as president of the Florida Advisory Council on Military Education and as an advisory board member for the Council of Colleges and Military Educators. Aaron is the director of military student success at Full Sail University and is pursuing a doctorate in education focused on student veteran success and institutional strategic planning.
Nice.
How you doing today, Aaron?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so excited to have you on here, and I can't wait to get into the discussion of the school because this is it's technical, and definitely different areas, which is really cool. And I was really interested when my brother went here and learning the different stuff they have, and I know you guys have a lot more things to offer now. But before we jump into that, tell us about your transition. How'd that go?
Yeah, so my transition is not very different than many other veterans. I transitioned in 2010. I got out. The post 9/11 GI Bill was relatively new. Nobody really knew what was going on with it other than you have the Montgomery GI Bill and you have the post 9/11 GI Bill. You have to relinquish one to do the other. And that was really about the only guidance that I received. I started my transition from the Air Force about a year out. Had applied for a state school, got admitted to the state school. I'd also applied for a police academy, got admitted to the police academy. So I kind of had a couple different options. Then when I was on terminal leave, I went to go register for classes because, I got to give all credit to my wife. She was like, if you want to stay married, you're not going to be a cop. So I said, fair enough. Fair enough. So I'll go finish my degree because I had already completed my CCAF when I was on active duty. So I said, well, I'm going to go register for classes at this state school that I got into. I walked into the veteran education center there, and they were just as lost as I was in regard to the post 9/11 GI Bill and like how to apply for it and even how my CCAF credits would apply towards my bachelor's degree. So it made it rather challenging. I left frustrated. Not really knowing what to do. And then, I'm, like I said, I finished my bachelor's degree at Xavier University in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's where I'm from, my hometown. And I ended up going to Xavier. Xavier obviously is not a state school. It's not the state school that I was going to. It's a private Jesuit school. But basically, they had a retired Marine major who called me and said, hey, man, I'm the director of military affairs here. Come down. You have an associate's degree, so you're halfway to a bachelor's. Your post 9/11 GI Bill stuff is easy. Everybody's kind of, really unsure like what to do with it. Come down, talk to me. I'll explain it to you, get you all settled in. And then it was off and running. Their College of Continuing Adult and Education was phenomenal. Especially for the time, 2010, 2011, 2012 timeframe. And yeah, I loved it. We only had about 70 student veterans. Most of them were National Guard and Reserve. I was one of the few active duty guys that was attending school there. So it was really, they had a small veteran office, but it was nice because they could essentially handhold us. And so that helped tremendously. Because I was my first semester in and I was like, I don't want to be a criminal justice major anymore either. I think I want to go pursue history because I could still go to law school. I could still do federal law enforcement. I could teach. I could become a professor. I could do all kinds of different things. So I just thought it had a little bit more flexibility. And I enjoy history a lot more than I like learning about like law and statutes and criminal code. And and then really I was graduating and wanted to do. So I just started looking at jobs because somebody was like, hey, you'd be really good out of college because you've kind of done everything on your own. But I've seen you talk to your buddies about like what your experience has been and like kind of what you've learned along the way. Like, why don't you look into something in like admissions or something like that?
Mm.
And then along came Full Sail. I was about 3 months from graduating, and they were like, "Hey, we have a spot open in admissions. Would love to have you come aboard and tell the service members like what we're all about." Um, and then, yeah, 2 months later, moved the family down to Florida, um, and then really kind of everything is. The last 13 years have been a bit of a whirlwind from there. Kind of grown. We had a couple of military admissions reps. We only had at the time, we had about 1,200 military connected students at Full Sail. Um, and then within that amount of time, we've grown into a full military student success division. We still do have military admissions. We have military financial aid. And then we have military student success, which is my department, which oversees the military student success center, our military outreach and community outreach, as well as our veteran student liaison team. And we kind of do everything essentially cradle to grave for student success and outcomes.
Fantastic. He
But
already
that's,
knows all the
but
questions. He just answered like
yeah,
half
I
the
was
questions I
like,
had ready.
I
I
love
love
this.
it.
yeah, but
We're getting all of it, which is,
right, but that's how I
why
got
we're
here.
here. We
So
want to get that info out. So, you talked about all the kind of the building process. Is there a veteran center where people are connecting with you, or where do they find you on campus?
yeah, so on campus we have a military student success center. It's actually just below our financial aid office, so it works out great because they can go upstairs and talk to our financial aid team, where our certifying
Yeah.
officials are, and our military financial aid advisors are, so they can get counseled on any benefits that they have questions about or anything like that. My team is also in charge of the VA work study program.
Mhm.
Um, but we kind of do everything. We do workshops, we do career development, we do student success. Like all those offices come into our office at least once a week to do office hours to be
Wonderful.
there for the students. And then we also offer that all virtually as well. We have a virtual,
Great.
it's called the Virtual Veteran Center. It's actually on Discord. I
Nice.
hope you all are familiar with Discord. It's actually its co-founder is a Full Sail graduate,
Okay.
but it's used a lot in our degree programs for obviously for gaming and for communication. But we use it mostly strictly as just like a chat, a gathering place, and it has. If I had to guess, it probably has over a dozen different kind of chat rooms. It can be by
Mhm.
branch, it can be by degree interest, it can be by even career interests. And then
Nice.
we have a large general chat for like general posting and stuff like that. So yeah, so we do both um, because most of our online students are not in Florida. A good chunk of them are, but the vast majority of them are in states like California, Texas, Washington, Georgia. We have a lot in New York too,
I love
but we try to
that.
connect with everyone.
Yeah, the mirroring of what they can get on campus, they can also get online. Because I always say when I'm working with veterans that are transitioning out, think about what you want out of the whole experience and what support you may need. And sometimes if they do online programs, there isn't as much support. So I love that at Full Sail they're not choosing having to choose that. Like if I go to campus, I'll get more. If I'm online, I'm missing out. So that's that real holistic approach for all students attending, which is wonderful to hear.
Yeah, it's extremely holistic because that's the best way we found that works. And word of mouth is probably the best marketing tool that anybody could ever use for anything. Doesn't matter how many flyers you make or
Mhm.
emails you send. Word of mouth is gold. But yeah, we try to mimic everything, and we also do use Zoom a lot too.
Mhm.
Like I know our Veteran Student Union, which is our Student Veterans of America chapter, they do bi-weekly meetings, and they're also on Zoom. I believe one of our past presidents was a strictly online student who lived in San Antonio, um, and was probably one of the best fundraisers for that group ever. Um,
Mhm.
which was strange because we'd get stuff sent to the campus, and he would just like give us a quick call and be like, "Hey, you guys have like a pallet of headphones coming," It was great, but it's weird. So we try to really just leverage all the student strengths, regardless if they're online or on campus.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So I alluded a little bit to it that Full Sail's it has different types of curriculum and things like that vary from some of the traditional schools. So can you tell us a little bit about Full Sail and the types of degrees and things that you guys are working on?
Yeah, so Full Sail is very non-traditional. As you kind of already know, we are a entertainment, media, and technology institution. So we specialize in essentially everything behind the scenes, like music production, game production, film production, information technology, cybersecurity. Really, like when I tend to tell people when they think about Full Sail and you think about film degrees or music degrees, don't think about necessarily the artist or the actors. Think about all the people that are behind the camera or behind the mic that make it all work.
Mm-hmm.
The engineers, the producers, the mixers, the cameramen, the electricians, the producers, stuff like that. So that's essentially what we do in a nutshell. It's almost kind of seeing is believing. Like you have to come to the campus at least once, even if you're a student, right? Even if you only come for graduation, come at least once just to see, because it's almost unbelievable. Like me just telling you about it, but like if you ever had a chance to see the campus, there's over 200 studios, 200-acre campus. It's pretty phenomenal.
This is one that's like, my brother still lives in Orlando. It's right down the road. So I need to get down there and check this out.
Come on by.
Sounds awesome.
Love to have you.
Oh my God. I'm like just processing all the things you were talking about. So I apologize. Because again, I think there's a traditional funnel, right, for a lot of transitioning service members. And this is why we exist in this podcast. We want veterans to know there are other programs out there, other schools for other interests. And this is, again, find what speaks to you. And honestly, you made me almost want to go back to school again. My husband will kill me, but I'm like, this is so cool. Like, I've been watching a show put on Disney Plus, and I'm like, man, imagine being the camera person behind this stuff. The shots they were shooting was just amazing. And it's, you're talking about that. Those people behind the scenes, the people who are making what we view and listen to day in and day out. So that's exciting. I am very curious, and I'm totally tagging along when Sean.
Yeah, and it's not just your traditional media either, like film and music. A lot of our gaming degrees, a lot of the students fall into like modeling and simulation.
Yeah.
And even think about the apps in your car, right? You both probably are sitting in front of phones as well. Yep. Everything on your phones, everything in your car, really kind of everything. Those are more kind of what our IT degrees are geared towards.
Awesome.
And what we tend to find with our students, is kind of going away from that non-traditional route. Is the military is very good at helping people figure out what they don't want to do. Mm-hmm. So then when people come to us, they're really passionate about what they do want to do. Because they're like, oh, I've been sitting around too long, like doing what somebody told me to do. So like, I want to go see what I can do in the music industry, or I think my art is impactful. So like, I want to go do that. So it's, I can't say enough about it. It's just great.
It's awesome.
I get why Sean was so giddy. I know a couple of veterans who are attending, and they've obviously loved their programs there. So this has been a really exciting talk today for me, but time does fly when we're having fun. So I want to thank you, Aaron, for joining us on Vet S.O.S today. On behalf of the Vet S.O.S family, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You can find the Vet S.O.S podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, YouTube, social media. Make sure you subscribe and follow Vet S.O.S so you don't miss a thing. And please remember, don't drown in the sea of transition. Grab the Vet S.O.S lifeline.